All right, let's get into it, guys. Let's talk about a little bit about the Hemi-Sync program. I kind of touched on this a little bit in God Power, but I'm going to go a little bit deeper in it today as well. Now, we're talking about a program that was developed by Robert Monroe at the Robert Monroe Institute, Research Institute. Now, check this out. The Hemi-Sync is a trademark name representing hemispheric synchronization. It's an audio technology developed by the Monroe Institute based on the use of binaural beats to enhance cognitive abilities and promote specific states of consciousness. Now, I want you to know the importance of this because we're talking about manifesting, okay? We're talking about manifesting. In order to manifest, you need to be in a specific state of consciousness. And that's what the Hemi-Sync technique gets you into. What Reverend Beckwith was doing right before I got on, that prayer that he was guiding you in, that powerful prayer, it was extremely similar and in line with the Hemi-Sync technique. Amazing. I'm not sure if he knows about this or not, but he was right on point. Robert Monroe, the founder of the TMI, pioneered research in the field of altered states of consciousness and developed the Hemi-Sync technology to aid achieving states. The CIA got involved with this. This was so good, the CIA said, you know what? We need to learn how this can be used for weaponization. So the Central Intelligence Agency basically had interest in this, and they wanted to find out how it had the ability to expand people's minds. They wanted to understand psychic phenomena and altered states of consciousness, which, they actually utilized this technique, learned it and utilized it in actual ops to gain intel and to tap into information from like the source. If that doesn't tell you this is important, I don't know what else I can tell you. Okay. If they felt it was important, if they felt they can weaponize it, which they did in the MK Ultra program, how powerful this must actually be. So your brain and binaural beats. Now, what's interesting is on Forbidden Knowledge TV, we have a huge array of 432 hertz meditation tracks that you can listen to. They have very nice imagery as well. Underlying those meditation tracks are binaural beats, so that it puts you into this Hemi-Sync mind state. I think we have about 20 of them up there. Each one, most of them are 11 minutes and 11 seconds. Your own brain interprets the two tones as a beat of its own. The two tones align with your brain waves to produce a beat of a different frequency. This frequency is the difference in hertz between the frequencies of the two tones. For example, if you're listening to 440 hertz, which is what the radio is on, if you listen to a 440 hertz tone with your left ear and a 444 hertz tone with your right ear, you will be hearing a 4 hertz tone. Do you see how that's happening? How it's canceling out? When you listen to binaural beats, your brain activity matches the frequency set by the frequency of the beat. This is called the frequency following act. It's almost like how mirror neurons work in the brain. If somebody's standing in front of you and they appear to be completely distraught and extremely sad, you start feeling distraught and sad. If they start crying, you start crying. If somebody yawns, you yawn. The same thing happens in the auditory part of the brain as well. This is called frequency following. This means you can use binaural beats to entrain your mind to reach a certain mental state. So you can actually train your mind to get into this high frequency mind state where the whole purpose of the Hemi-Sync is to create a focused beam of thought that has a mission. The mission is for it to actually manifest specifically and exactly what you're trying to bring into your reality tunnel. Okay? And a lot of this information came from declassified CIA documents, which you can actually Google and get online. Now, you'd have to filter through hundreds and hundreds of pages of redacted documents it took hours to come up with enough information to learn it and understand what it means. But it's there. and anyone can get access to it. One of the things it talks about is lion's mane mushrooms and memory. Lion's mane mushrooms, not psychedelic mushrooms, but lion's mane mushrooms. Compounds from lion's mane mushroom can enhance neuron growth in the hippocampus and improve memory, offering potential for treating neurodegenerative diseases. So they realized that you can even enhance this Hemi-Sync by taking these mushrooms on a daily basis, which I actually take these mushrooms on a daily basis because Elizabeth gives them to me. She has all these tinctures of mushrooms that she makes me take every day, not psychedelic mushrooms, mushrooms for health, okay? They don't have any psychedelic effect, the ones I take. Nothing against that. I just don't take psychedelics. That's just not my thing. I don't feel like I don't have a need to take them. If I felt like I had a need to take a psychedelic, I would try it. I don't have anything against psychedelics. It's just not for me. And the reason why is because psychedelics rewire your mind, and I like the way my mind functions right now. I don't want to rewire what I have going on because what I have going on is amazing. And that's not bragging, it's just a fact. And I don't want to ruin that by rewiring myself. But if I felt I had a deficit or I was struggling in an area of my life, I would try it. Nothing against it whatsoever, okay? But the Hemi-Sync is really, really powerful stuff because we're talking about tapping into this frequency. And this is what's so important. This is why we put so many of these beats on Forbidden Knowledge TV. You can just go to the music section on Forbidden Knowledge TV and you can play one and it'll play them back to back to back to back. I listen to these things when I go to sleep because I go into my guided dreams, okay? I do my guided dreams, and in my guided dreams, what I do is I begin to get my manifestation process and what I'm going to focus on in my dream, and I walk myself into my dream. And as I walk myself into my dream, I have full and complete control. My dream is not dreaming me. I'm dreaming it. I'm creating. I'm the master there. I'm not just going into a dream and having no control and everything is taking me over and I can't stop things from happening. I go and I walk myself in as a master. I'm a master of my higher self in the dream state where everything is real, okay? And in that state, this music is playing and I'm tapping in and I'm getting more and more and more focused on what I want to create in this lifetime. And day after day after day, I'm knocking down goal after goal after goal, benchmark after benchmark after benchmark. Some of you who've been following my accounts for years can see the progress and the growth, which is what's important. They also discovered mind control, okay? So they found out that not only can you create a focused beam of energy that can go into the field and help you manifest from the quantum field, but you can also mind link, mind meld with others. We've heard of the mind meld, right? Like on Star Trek, you know, where the Vulcan, Spock, he has the ability to mind meld with people and share consciousness. Well, they discovered that we do have that power already, and they've discovered a way to enact it or activate it in people. Researchers at the University of Washington conducted a remarkable experiment that demonstrated the first non-invasive human-to-human brain interface. In this experiment, one researcher was able to send a brain signal through the internet to control the hand movements of a fellow researcher. This was achieved using a combination of electrical brain recordings and a magnetic stimulation. The procedure involved one participant, Rajesh Rao, wearing a cap connected to an electroencephalography machine. Say that 10 times, which read the brain's activity. Rao played a simple video game using his mind. When he needed to fire a cannon in the game, he imagined moving his right hand, causing a cursor to hit the fire button. Almost instantaneously, the second researcher, Andrea Stocco, who was in a different location and wearing a magnetic stimulation coil over his left motor cortex, involuntarily moved his right index finger to push a space bar on a keyboard. This is a mind meld. between two people in two different locations. One guy can see the screen, but doesn't have a game controller. The other person is in front of the screen, can't really see it, but has their brain connected to a motor controller part of the brain, to where that when the other person says, I need to press this button, that person's hand involuntarily moves and presses the button. We're talking about remote controlling a human being through a consciousness link. This is important stuff about this. I'm prepping you for manifestation now, because I want you to understand how powerful the human mind is. And this is stuff that they've already figured out. This experiment was notable for being a direct brain-to-brain communication in real time over the internet. The technology used included well-known methods like electroencephalogram, or EEG, for recording brain activity, and transcranial magnetic stimulation, or TMS, for stimulating the brain. The researchers emphasized that this technology only reads specific kinds of brain signals and cannot access a person's thoughts or control actions of their will. Okay, yeah, right. Okay. They want to put that out there because they don't want people realizing that you can be remote controlled at any given moment. Okay. And I'll explain how in a minute. The experiment was conducted under controlled conditions and complied with stringent international human subject testing rules. This breakthrough has exciting potential applications. For instance, it could be used to help someone land an airplane if the pilot becomes incapacitated, or assist a person with disabilities in communication. That's right. The researchers plan to conduct further experiments to transmit more complex information and potentially expand the types of information that can be transferred from brain to brain. What's going to happen in the future is you will see that you will learn differently. Kids will learn differently in the future. They won't learn by sitting in school for 8 hours a day, sucking up all their time, literally eating up their lifespan as they sit there for 12, 13 years. And that's just grade school. Then you got to go another 5 to 10 years. No, what'll happen is they will take the collective knowledge of a person's natural ability and they will put it into a computer program. And then they will put a cap on that child's head. And every day for 15 to 20 minutes, they will literally download knowledge. And by the time 3-4 years goes by, max, they will have all the knowledge they need. The reason why they wouldn't do it all instantly is because you need time to apply the knowledge, because knowledge is not power. The application of knowledge is power. And there is something called, hand-eye coordination and all these kinds of things. So you have to develop the skill of whatever it is you're doing. But at the same time, like I'm saying, you will download your entire school into your brain. You won't be walking around and getting on school buses and sitting in a classroom with teachers for 6, 7, 8 hours. When people can come in and shoot your school up and all that kind of crazy stuff. No, it's not going to happen. Totally different way of learning in the future. And this is the beginning stages of it. Researcher controls colleagues' emotions in first human brain-to-brain interface. Okay, I want you to see this picture. These are the two gentlemen in two different locations. The University of Washington researcher Rajesh Rao on the left plays a computer game with his mind. Across campus, researcher Andrei Stoko on the right wears a magnetic stimulation coil over the left motor cortex region of his brain. And one guy moves the other guy's hand by thinking about it. Okay, so that you know this is real. I bring the receipts. I'm going to come out of my share screen for a second. And let me get back to the normal screen so I can talk here. Pull this down for a second here. Now, what's important to understand is these techniques that are real and really work and have been applied in real laboratories. And I have to emphasize that because not that I'm worried about what people think, but I've talked about some of this stuff just sparingly in a couple of clips here and there. And sometimes I look at the comments and I just go, man, these people have no idea what's really going on out here. So you can't really, it's hard to bring a lot of information to a 1-minute reel on social media.